Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is my 2024 reading wrap-up and 2025 reading plans. So I'm going to take you through first the 2024 wrap-up section where I will talk about my stats for the year, my top like 5-ish books, my 5-star reads of the year. We're going to set up my end of journal spreads and then I'm going to fill them in and maybe do a little flip through of my journal. I'm not sure. And I'm going to show you my book bracket. And then for the 2025 section, I'm going to make my 25 and 2025 spread, fill in any beginning spreads that I need to, talk about some anticipated releases. Let's get started with making my end of journal spreads, and then I will fill them in with you, and then we can start talking about stats and favorite books and stuff like that. So, let's get right into it. Welcome to the wrap-up section of this video. So right now I'm going to be talking about my stats for 2024. I wrote them down. I got most of them off of Storygraph, but for the number of books read and pages read, I got off of Goodreads. So I read 144 books this year, and I read 63,650 pages. Somehow it got to be a nice round number. That's good. And I had a 4.08 star average rating, which is very good, and I'm kind of surprised, but I feel like I had a lot of like higher rated reads in the beginning of the year, so maybe it does make sense. My top genres last year were YA, fantasy, romance, LGBTQIA+, and contemporary, and I think books can fit into like multiple of those categories because I would say I read more fantasy than just general YA, but I think things counted towards YA and fantasy, so then I read more YA than fantasy. My top authors were Holly Black, because I read the last 2 books in The Cruel Prince and The Stolen Heir duology, and I also read How the King of Elfame Learned to Hate Stories, so I read 5 of our books last year. Then Saba Tahir, I read 4 of her books. I read the last 3 in the Ember of the Ashes quartet, and I read Air. And then Sarah J. Maas is my last top author. I read 4 of her books. I read The Assassin's Blade, and then I read the 3 Crescent City books. I read 89 new authors this year, which I think is accurate because I kind of have data from the last 2 and a bit years in Storygraph. So hopefully it's kind of accurate, but it's around that. And 79 of the books I read were part of a series, which is a little bit interesting. I reread 3 books. I reread 2 Harry Potter books, the 3rd one and the 4th one. And then I reread this winter as my last read of the year, just as like a little quick one. They added up to 144 because I liked that it divided into 12 books per month. And I DNF'd 5 books last year. So not that many actually, and I don't count those towards my read books. So yeah. Now I'm going to talk about the top 12 books of my year. So my top book, to no one's surprise, my favorite book of last year was Crimson Rivers by Bizarre Stars. It's a fan fiction. I'm pretty sure you can read it on AO3 if you have an account. And it's a rewrite of The Hunger Games with Marauders characters in it. It was really good. It was very good. So it's my favorite of the year. And then my favorite like actual book is The Queen of Nothing by Holly Black, the last book in the Cruel Prince trilogy. My number 3 favorite book is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Number 4 is As Good as Dead by Holly Jackson, and number 5 is Lady Tan's Circle of Women by Lisa C. So that's my top 5 books of 2024, but I did make a top 12 list. And these aren't my favorite of every month. I just took my top 12 favorites from the whole year, because some of them are different from my top books per month. Then we have number 6, The Lion Woman of Tehran by Marjan Kamali. Then we have number 7, which is Emily Wilde's Map of the Otherlands by Heather Fawcett. Number 8 is Choices by Messer Moon, which is another fanfiction. There may or may not be 3 fanfictions on my top 12, but I mean, they're really good, guys. They're better than a lot of books that I read, so they deserve their place. Number 9 is Castles in Their Bones by Laura Sebastian. Number 10 is House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas, which is the 3rd in the Crescent City series. Number 11 is All the Tides of Fate by Adeline Grace, and number 12 is Best Friend's Brother by Bizarre Stars. They made it on there twice, and that's a win. So, those are my top 12 books of 2024. Hopefully you can see this all right, but I am going to fill in my book bracket now. So I wrote down my favorite book of each month. I have a spread in the beginning of my journal to track that, so I don't have to think of it as I'm filling this out. But basically what happens is these 2 go head to head, and then pick one, and then these 3 go head to head, and then that's my top 2. And I do have these spreads which are just general top 12, but I'm pretty sure the top book is going to be the same as my top read of the year, because that makes sense. So it shouldn't be a problem that I won't have a space for my top one on my book bracket. I'm pretty sure most of these are like at least half. Probably like these will all make it onto the list, hopefully. So, or like, because there's a few here that worked out kind of poorly. Like these going head to head makes so much sense, but also hurts me a lot, you know? These 2, same thing. Like those are like basically both in my, those are both in my top 5. And like this one, these didn't make it. So this is just a really fun thing that I do at the end of the year. Anyway, let's start. So we have As Good as Dead versus When Women Were Dragons. And I'm definitely thinking As Good as Dead. I did like it When Women Were Dragons, but I feel like As Good as Dead stuck with me more. So I'm going to put As Good as Dead in here. I won't put the author again because I have it in here. Then we have The Queen of Nothing against Lady Tan's Circle of Women. I love both of these books. These are both in my top 5 of the year, 100%. But I think The Queen of Nothing is higher up. But I love Lady Tan. So I'm putting The Queen of Nothing, and it hurts me a little bit to do that, but sometimes you just have to do that. Next we have Cold Girls and The Serpent on the Wings of Night. Even though I rated this lower, I think I had more of a fun time reading this. But also, I really liked this. This one, I don't know. But I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm gonna put The Serpent on the Wings of Night. we're gonna stick with that. Okay, now we have Crimson Rivers against Caraval. This was a 4.25. I literally didn't have a book higher than 4.25 in August. So obviously it's Crimson Rivers. Then we have Choices versus The Lion Women of Tehran. I loved Choices. That was really good. But I think I'm going to go with The Lion Women of Tehran. The Lion Women. Okay. Now we have this owl mashup, An Education of Malice versus A Sorceress Comes to Call. These are like the same book in different fonts, but also not. But like, they have the same vibes. And I gave this a 4.75 and this a 5. But I think of this so often. But I loved this. I'm going An Education of Malice. I think it deserves to be top 6, you know? Especially if this made it. This definitely should make it. So now we have to do top 2. Wow. But I think I know what they are just like off the bat. I think it's gonna be Queen of Nothing. And Crimson Rivers. Yeah, that's right, because those are my top 2 books of the year. So, there's my book bracket. I'm really happy with it. Let's see. Hopefully that's all in there. But yeah, this is my book bracket for 2024. And I'm happy with how this turned out. I think it makes sense based on the 12 books here. I'm gonna make these at some point, but I'm gonna do like little spreads to match each of the books. So that's gonna take me a little bit. So I'm gonna do this whenever I have time. So probably never, honestly, but you know, we're gonna hope that I'm gonna do it. But yeah, oh, I filled in my stats page. So this is what it looks like. I like how it turned out. Yeah. So we don't really have anything else to fill out. In this journal, oh, book awards. I think I need to take a bit of time to like go through all my books. So I'm gonna fill these in at a later date. But best book is obviously gonna be Crimson Rivers. Best series, I'm honestly not sure. Best duology, I think is gonna be All the Stars and Teeth. But yeah, I'm gonna have to think about these because, yeah, I think historical is gonna be Lady Tan. Most annotated is probably The Bell Jar. Worst book is Light Lark. Overhyped, underhyped, I have no idea. Worst romance is probably Icebreaker. Fave romance is probably Funny Story. Yeah, this I'm just gonna transfer my journal planning from Notion and I'm just gonna write down what I was planning. And then for reflection, I'm just gonna do like a little reflection on my reading year. But yeah, I think that's all we have to do in this journal. So, it's my 2024 reading journal done. Okay, welcome to the flip through of my 2024 reading journal. I'm just going to do a quick flip through because I'm not going to show my reviews because like literally almost all of them have spoilers. So we're just going to skip through those. But this is my index. I needed a part 2 in April, so that's really cute. I have my goals. I read 3 classics. I just didn't update this because I checked them off as I did it, and I just counted that because I decided I wanted to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, like the whole trilogy in 2025, so I decided that I just count that as complete. Then we have my reading goal. I needed a lot more squares, clearly, but this was my goal, 104 books, and I read 144. We have all my books covers, which I probably won't be doing again next year just because it takes so many of my printer papers, which are really expensive, to print all of them out. We have physical TBR books that I read, my 2024 series tracker, duologies tracker, anticipated releases, books bought, monthly favorites, and my fic TBR and fix read. I have a lot that I want to read, clearly. When we get into January, I have my TBR. I did pretty good on this, actually. Cover page, kind of ugly, whatever. Then this is the crafting and stats. Go to February. I did okay on the TBR, and then I have my calendar. It took me a long time to read Powerless. Then we have March. I didn't do very well on my TBR. Calendar. I did a little, don't read these. I did a little quarterly check-in. And then we have my April. I did not read basically any books on my TBR. My calendar and books read. May. I read like 2 books off my TBR. This thing. June. The TBR was actually okay. I think the yellow was not a good choice, but whatever. July. I didn't do that well on the TBR. I didn't read that many books in July, only 8. But I did read a lot of pages because Crimson Rivers was like so long. Like I literally had to take like 2 whole pages for my review. We have August, pretty good for the TBR. You'll see some books coming up multiple times in a lot of TBRs because I just kept not reading them when I added them. I think this is my favorite along with March, and I did like August a lot as well. I did okay on the TBR. We have calendar stuff. You'll notice I was reading all the Young Booth series perspective for so long. Then we have the second part of my books read. The second part of my index was, well, right here. So this is the second part of my books read. I did not need this page. We have October. I read 1 book off my TBR. So good. It's sticking like that. Anyway, stats. Oop. I somewhat randomly left a page blank even though I didn't need to. Then we have November. Again, I didn't do very well on the TBR. There we go. December, I did not read any of my classics, but I did almost 100% my TBR, which is such a slay. Stats. Then reflection, which I haven't filled out yet. Stats. Book bracket. Didn't do any of these pages yet. 5 stars, I still haven't filled in that list. This I still haven't filled in. And the last page. So that is my 2024 reading journal flip through. Okay, welcome to my 25 and 2025. So I only printed out 24 because my mini printer, when I print my book covers in this size, I can only print 4 per sheet, and 1 extra is not very enjoyable. So when I print my first batch of 5-star reads, I will just print the 25th one with that. So yeah, let's start laying these out how I want them, because I'm trying to like kind of group them by genre. So we have some classics. I don't really know what that is, like YA random, I guess. Hold on. These are all fantasy, historical, romance, literary, I guess. It's kind of historical too, so maybe that'll be like a little bridge. Literary. I don't know what that is, like dark academia, fantasy, sequel, but also fantasy, historical. I think this is historical fantasy, but I'm just gonna put it in fantasy. Sequel fantasy. I don't know what Tress of the Emerald Sea is, so I'm just gonna put that there. This is like historical, I think. Literary. Fantasy? I'm not 100% sure. Maybe I'll put that with the Dowry of Blood. That's literary, I believe. This is fantasy. This is fantasy. Mostly fantasy, as you can see. I'm just gonna put Trust of the Emerald Sea with fantasy, even though I'm not 100% sure that's what it is. But we're just gonna pretend. Clockwork Angel, I guess, goes with fantasy. Romance. I also, Happy Place is the one that I didn't print out. Mainly because I'm not 100% sure I want to include it. So, but yeah, I'll just put this one at the end, and then I'll put Happy Place beside it. So this is gonna go last. Let's start with the classics, then move into historical, or maybe literary. I think we're gonna do literary. So we'll do these, then historical, then whatever this is, then fantasy. Start with like true fantasy and then like kind of romantasy. Hold on. I don't know how many true fantasies I have on here. I feel like maybe Tress is gonna be true fantasy. Then Jade City I know is true fantasy. This one I feel like is kind of, oh, uh-oh. This one's a bridge, I feel like. Oh dear. I got it. Okay, hold on. This is like a historical fantasy, but whatever. I think some of these, it's kind of like a weird dystopian, so maybe I'll do this. Hold on. Then I'm gonna put this. Then I'll do Did I measure this wrong? Uh-oh, gang. I think I've measured wrong. Oh dear. Oh well. Chilling with me. Then I'll have Happy Place down there. Maybe I'll do Part of Your World and then Happy Place. So then it's kind of like a little gradient, and then I'll put another like ripped paper there or something. Okay. I think I like this. So this is my 25 and 2025. Happy Place will be right there once I am able to print it out, but I think I'm happy with how it turned out. I really like seeing all the book covers. Welcome to day 2 of this video. I am going to fill in my 2025 reading journal, like all the spreads that I have to fill in. So I'm just gonna put in my reading goals, my anticipated releases, a list of things I want to reread, and fill in my physical TBR. And I think that's it, yes. So we're gonna transfer a couple of things from my old journal. I think I have a few things, so let's go. I wanted to talk about, hello, where did it go? A few of my anticipated releases for 2025. I do have quite a long list because so many really cool sounding books are releasing next year, but I just picked, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I picked 9. Okay, I was trying to pick 10, but apparently I picked 9. Maybe I miscounted, but you know. So these are my 9 most anticipated releases. I try to go in order, but I kind of feel like they're not in order, so let's just go. This isn't like in order of most anticipated, I meant like order of when they release, but I'm pretty sure I kind of failed at that. So yeah. First is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, the 3rd book in the Empyrean, which is 4th Wing. I liked the first 2. I gave them both 5 stars. I listened to them both on audiobook, and I'm excited to listen to the 3rd one, because if I tried to read it, I would not understand what was going on, because some of them are spelled a little interestingly. And then we have Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales by Heather Fawcett, which is the 3rd Emily Wilde book. I love the Emily Wilde books. I got the first 2 for Christmas, and I pre-ordered the 3rd one already. And then next we have Catabasis, I'm not sure how to say it, by R.F. Kuang. I love R.F. Kuang. Babel, so good. And I also love the Poppy War trilogy, and I read Yellow Face, which I gave a 4 stars, so I basically liked it a lot as well. And I'm excited for this one. It sounds really good, and I'm hoping that it's just as good as Babel. Then we have Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. Literally all the pre-release reviews and literally just the description sounds so good. I'm literally so excited for that one. And then we have Fearless by Lauren Roberts, which is the last book in the Powerless trilogy. My first 2 are right there, so I will be purchasing the last one. Have a little complete set. I'm really excited for that. Then we have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson, which is her adult thriller debut, because her other 4 books are all YA, and I gave them all, actually, I don't know, I gave all of the Good Girls Guide to Murder books 5 stars or close to it, and then I gave 5 Survive, I think a 4 or a 4.5 or something. So I'm excited for that. I'm hoping it won't be like too scary, you know, because it's a little interesting, but I think the concept sounds like a little bit tamer, you know, like not super scary, just like thriller, you know, so I'm excited for that. Then we have A Steeping of Blood by Hafsa Faisal, which is the 2nd Tempest of Tea book. Tempest of Tea is right there. I liked the first one, and I'm really hoping that the 2nd one will be even better. And people say it's like 6 of Crows but with vampires and tea, and that is true. It's just like if you go into it expecting 6 of Crows scrumptiousness, then you won't like it, which is what happened to me. I still liked it. I gave it a 4.25. I liked it, but I was kind of expecting it to be like 6 of Crows level, and it wasn't 6 of Crows level. It was still really good, but I'm hoping the 2nd one will be a lot better, and then I can give it a 5 stars. Yeah. Then we have Savage Blooms by S.T. Gibson. I read An Education in Malice in November, and I really loved it. I gave it a 5 stars, or I think I might have given it a 4.75, but like I'd be thinking about it a lot, so we're gonna go with 5 actually. So I'm just adding this to my list because now I really like her writing. And then last on this list, I did Great Big Beautiful Life by Emily Henry because I read Funny Story this year and I really liked it. I think it's probably my favorite romance book. I'm only saying that because I don't read a lot of romance. Like, I literally just don't read romance. So, fun. Yeah, but this premise sounds so good. So I'm really excited, and if she lets me down, I'm gonna be a little depressed and upset. But yeah, this is an abridged version of my anticipated releases for this year. I do have like a giant note in my notes app of like 80 billion more. So that was just my top 9 most anticipated. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see from me in this new year. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what your reading goals are for this year, and our like anticipated releases and stuff like that, because I'm always wanting to hear about more books. So I will see you next week. I'm not 100% sure what video I'm posting, but I'll see you. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.